Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Do me a favor. Do me a big favor. Hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Really appreciate it if you would do that for me. Up to 100 subscribers. I know this is a kind of a relatively new channel. Although I've been out here for a while, changing the message here, trying to make men. We're doing things as men, trying to make men the best version of ourselves. Can't go around blaming other people, blaming women, blaming the white man, blaming the Republicans, the Democrats, the independents. We got to do the best that we can do in order to get to the place that we want to get to, right? Right, all right. So I want to do a story about a brother who I think has been an inspiration to me from his recent spate of successes, that I would call them, and conduct throughout the years, and that's brother Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, Primetime. To the younger folks, they might not have understood who this brother was, but this was a brother who was succeeding at playing two professional sports at one time, baseball and football. When the NFL did their top 75 players of all time, I think it was top 75 or 150, whatever it was, 2018, 19, whatever it was. Deion was one of the best ones of all time, I believe, for safety or cornerback. Anyway, I probably should have did a little more research about this, but I was really so concerned about the story that we're about to get into today that I really thought it was really worth mentioning. Deion, Primetime, is becoming that off the field as well. Put up or shut up, right? Not only as men do you have to open up doors for yourself, but he is making sure that he is opening up doors for other individuals along the way. And that is what true mentorship, true coaching is all about. He put up for other individuals. He opened up the doors, and that's what you have to do as men in order to make sure that other people have that access and have those opportunities as well. In my time when I was a police officer, the reason I didn't do a lot more things in law enforcement, as far as SWAT or K9 and all this type of thing, it was because I wanted to be there for my kids, right? All that type of stuff takes you away from the house. And I'm not saying we don't need SWAT officers. I'm not saying we don't need K9 officers, because we do. But what I am saying is that the time away, that you have to get time to mentoring the younger kids. And the time that I wasn't obviously with my family, I was coaching for 10 years straight. We had a police activity league. It's still going on, but we had a police activity league, which we called PAL. And I was part of that. Coached numerous sports all throughout the year because I wanted my kids involved, wanted to make sure they were involved, and I wanted to make sure that members from the community saw a black man doing something for his community, right? So that was the reason I did it. Coached baseball, softball, basketball, both sports, refereed games, all that kind of stuff, because I thought it was important for them to see a police officer and a young black police officer doing things within the community. So Deion Sanders, one of the greatest of all times to ever don a uniform for the NFL, is now the head coach at a historically black college, and he's saying, now this, note the date of this article, May 4th, 2021. Deion Sanders, after no HBUs players drafted, our kids are being neglected. This is what Deion was saying, last year, as I record this in 2022. So let's get to the article here. NFL Hall of Famer and Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders vented his frustrations on Instagram Monday when no players from the historically black colleges and universities were selected in this year's NFL draft, right? There were 259 picks in the 2021 NFL draft. Not a single draft pick featured a player from an HBCU. So Deion is going on a tear talking about this, and then he's going to put his money where his mouth is, advocating for this for the 2022 draft. And we have the audacity to hate on one another, talking about African Americans hating on African Americans, right? This crabs in a barrel mentality that he's suggesting that we highly get rid of. Are neglected and rejected, Sanders wrote in the post. I witnessed a multitude of kids that we played against that were more than qualified to be drafted. My prayers are that this won't ever happen again. Get your knife out your back and fight with me and not against me. Get your knife out of the back is reference to some sayings from the late, great Malcolm X, Malik Al-Shabazz. Multiple HBCU coaches voiced their frustrations when none of their players from the 259 called this past week, according to the Washington Post. You can go back as far as you like, from Jerry Rice to Tariq Cohen, and North Carolina A&T coach Sam Washington told the Washington Post, "The quality of the athlete is definitely within our league. Them being seen or not seen, it happened. For what reasons, I had not figured that part out, but the fact is that it happened." So this is from last year, May 21st. Then we fast forward to the next year, next draft, April 30th, 2022. And then we see 3 selected quarterbacks on the second day of draft for the 2022. And James Houston IV becomes just JSU player under Deion Sanders picked, become the 4th. James Houston IV becomes JSU player under Deion Sanders picked in the NFL draft. I think that's supposed to be one of the first or something like that. First, I think there's a word missing in that sentence. When Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders took the helm of the Tigers program, one of his biggest goals was to highlight and help players from historically black colleges and universities reach the NFL. This is where coaching and mentoring happens, not just on the field. Well, not just for the immediacy of being on the field, not just for the immediacy of being on the field, not just for the immediacy of being on the field, right? You have to be able to impact these boys and young men's lives off the field. So she's opening up doors, making sure that they can get other things that they need in order to progress in life. This is the part of coaching, the part of mentoring, the part of tutoring, the part of displaying correct behavior that we need to see. Opening up the doors, right? You make this a goal and then you go for it. He talked about it and then he's being about it. He's going out on his game, right? On Saturday, the Lions selected Jackson State's James Houston IV in the 6th round, number 217, and he became the first Sanders coach player to be drafted. Houston was the 3rd player from the HBCU selected in this year's draft. Fayetteville State's Joshua Williams, number 135, was selected by the Chiefs, while the Rams picked South Carolina State's Jacoby Durant, number 142. Houston is Houston, one of FSC's most prolific pass rushers and nicknamed The Problem. What a great nickname. This guy's a problem. Recorded 70 tackles, 16 and a half sacks, and 7 forced fumbles in one season at Jackson State. Prior to JSU, Houston spent 3 years at Florida. So this kid was already a prodigy in going to the University of Florida. So listen, you get drafted to the university, not drafted, but if you get selected or get a scholarship or whatever to the University of Florida or any of the other big SEC or Southern conferences, then you're obviously on your game. So listen, the biggest schools with the biggest money are going to attract the biggest talent. Obviously, biggest schools with the biggest money are going to attract the biggest talent. But that doesn't mean that other people should be passed up along the way. Talk about Jerry Rice, probably one of the greatest of all time. Warren Moon, I think, was another. I'm pretty sure Warren Moon went to HBCU, if I remember correctly. Warren Moon. So the talent is out there. So last thing, we're going to talk about the money and how the money that HBCUs get. Now, I want to preface this that this video that we're going to watch, it comes from Roland Martin, which I believe that Roland Martin Unfiltered, which I believe that he recorded from Deion Sanders' Twitter page or somehow he got this information. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think that it's relevant, but he talks about the number of money, the amount of money that these individuals are getting, or individual schools are getting when they play bigger schools, right? So they want a bigger part of the purse, right? So however the schools get the money from advertisements and whatever they get the money from, right? HBCUs are getting a lesser amount of money, so they want to get bigger lion's share of the money because it costs money to travel across the country. You got to put the kids in hotels, you got to feed them, you got to fly them all over the place, right? So this costs money, so you got to make it worth your while. Now, I understand his point. But until you become those big time universities, right, where everybody wants to see you, then you're not going to get that money. And of course, people aren't going to share the money, right? The SEC and and the Big 10, Big 12, and all these other schools, Pac-10, they're going to, or Pac-12, whatever it is now, they want to keep the money for themselves, and they're going to continue to try to get the best players. So the challenge is for HBCUs and other small schools, right? Even PWI, small schools, the challenge is going to be for them to entice the blue chip grade A players away from their schools in order to get there, so they can all get it. So the lower quality, or lower, I don't want to say quality, the lower, lesser known schools can get a bigger chunk of the share. So I think that he's onto something. What I want to point out is the fact that he's agitating. That's what I want to point out. That he's agitating, never being satisfied, always trying to go for more, making noise, and opening up the door, bringing attention to these types of things. So this is from Roland Martin Unfiltered. Here's Deion Primetime.
Smaller schools who play these major institutions for a big payday. Well, Deion Sanders, the head coach of Jackson State, not too particularly pleased with the amount of money HBCUs are getting compared to these other predominantly white institutions. He talked to HBCU Game Day and broke it down.
I'm looking at numbers that they gave me. Marshall got $1.25 million to play against Notre Dame. Appalachian State got $1.5 million to play against Texas A&M. Georgia Southern got one.
Okay, so for those who aren't in the football world, Appalachian State and Marshall aren't really top tier. Marshall's probably B level. So they're playing a great school like Notre Dame, then they're still getting $1.5 million, right? If Appalachian State is getting, they're getting paid to play a certain, if they are a lesser school and they're getting these $1 million paydays to play the big schools, then why are we settling for peanuts? That's what his point is gonna be. And Marshall, Appalachian State are PWIs, predominantly white institutions, although black players go there and black students are allowed there, obviously, but they're not historically black colleges. And so if those lesser known schools, lesser athletic, B-level type play schools are able to get this amount of money, why can't these other schools? Why can't the HBCUs?
4 to play against Nebraska, okay, and so forth. Now let's get to us. FAMU got $450 to play against North Carolina.
$450,000.
Southern, thank God, you got $760. I like that. Alabama State, $590 for UCLA. You probably exhausted that in the flight going all the way across the country.
$590. So it's exactly what I was saying. It's $590. School gets $590,000, but you got to feed the players. You got to feed them, clothe them, have medical supplies for them, coaching staff, medical staff, housing, flights, all that kind of stuff. So you're exhausting this amount of money just flying.
But don't cook, Brendan. I don't even know what their payout is. We still trying to find out that. Alabama A&M, $300,000 as well to play against UAB. If we're gonna get our butt kicked, shouldn't it be worth it? How in the world are we selling for the peanuts and the little minute droppings that they're giving us when everybody's darn near $500,000-$600,000? Should we get together and huddle up as a HBCU and say we're not playing these beat down games unless we get this? Now, don't go up under it. You can negotiate above, but have the level be $750 a million. Have something. Make it worth your team's while, because you're going to lose players. You're going to lose pride and dignity when we sit up here and telling you we're just as good, but you go out there and show that we're not as good. We're not nearly as good. And then you're losing 3 to 4 players because of the type of beating that you've got. Now you got to lift them and build them back up the next week to go back there and say, you could do it this week. Forget about last week, but you could do it this week. I don't understand that. I don't understand how we allow these other schools to get these type of purses to play against the same team that we're playing against. So who's negotiating this? Can we get together and form a committee or something and say, we're not doing it unless we get $1 million? Negotiate up, but don't negotiate down. And that $1 million should go directly to your football department. They out there getting their butts kicked. Not the rest of the school. They out there getting their butts kicked. They out there getting abused. They out there getting hurt. They out there getting injured. And now you want to spread it out amongst the school. I don't agree with that. If they out there playing, they should reap the benefits of the sacrifices that they're making. I just don't like when I'm seeing guys get 1.4, 1.2, 1.7 or whatever, and we getting peanuts. I don't like that. So that means we're not doing well business-wise. I just want to alarm you on that kind of stuff because that's the kind of stuff I think about. And that matters to me. That's the ultimate sellout to me. So I'd rather us get together, somebody take the lead. I'd be glad to. I'm used to being in that position and say, you know what? We're not doing it. Well, Coach Brown, it's easy for y'all to say, no, we're in the same financial situation, not in a better financial situation than any of the rest of everybody. We may do more, we're able to work more, and we're able to go out there and get more because we got to go get them. But when it comes to selling our kids out, I can't take it, man. It frustrates me, it angers me, it upsets me wholeheartedly. And I'm sorry, admitting, but when I see that kind of stuff and I look at those stats, and it makes me mad. It really does. Because we're trying to preach that we're just as good. Then we go out there and get beat down for peanuts. Don't like it. God bless y'all. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, so if there's some feedback here, I'm gonna have to record this. I apologize. So that's his point. Now, there is a business aspect to it that we can't ignore, right? The heavyweight champ in boxing, we think about it, you know, they may get a purse of $35 million, where the up-and-comer might get a purse of $5 million or $10 million, right? Because you're not the champ. It's the same principle here. You're not going to get what Nebraska is going to get, or North Carolina, or Notre Dame, or the big-time schools. You're not going to get what they're going to get, but you can get similar to what other PWIs are getting. And if they're getting $1 million, then we should get $1 million as well, right? So that's what his point is. Now, they can argue about all that, the economics about it, but I appreciate the fact that he's speaking up about it and saying something about it. Not just sitting in his office collecting a paycheck, not just concerned about what's going on for the next game, but he's thinking long term as far as getting these players in NFL, long term as far as making sure the schools become financially solvent, because that's how a lot of these major schools become major schools. Not because of their academics, but because of their commitment to basketball and to football. Those two sports, you know, you take UConn, between their women basketball team and the men's, particularly in the late 90s when they were in the late 90s, early 2000s, when they were top of their game, that's what built their program, and now everybody wants to go to UConn. So that's what built it. That's how Notre Dame stays up there. It's not because of the academics, and I'm not saying that they're not good academic schools. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that the reason that they have a lot of the things that they have and able to buy the best of the best as far as research facilities and all that is because of the football program. Same thing with Michigan, right? So that's what we're saying. So if we want our schools to become financially solvent, then we got to get a larger part of the economics, and that's what he's talking about. So we need more individuals to be like that. So if you are a coach, if you are a mentor, if you are someone who's made it in your field, lawyer, plumber, I don't care what you are, what you're doing, reach back, reach down, reach back, and try to make sure that the other individuals who look like you have the same opportunities to be just like you. You know, that's it. Make sure you hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. We got up to 100 subscribers. Let's work on getting to 200. Really appreciate it. Much love and peace, everyone. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Do we need more people to be like Neon, Deion, Primetime, who once you go through life, make sure that you set someone else out for it. Neon, Deion has still got a lot greater influences to make a lot more stuff to do.